Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our mastery series, Access Your Inalienable Sovereignty in 2021. Last week, we launched and had a week full of incredible presenters, and we had so much positive feedback, and I enjoyed it so much, I decided to just keep on going. And we are keeping it going strong with one of my favorite people on the planet, Erika Wright, who is the founder of Superstar Dark Chocolate Superfood Bars uh, and CEO, and she's an incredible co-lead singer of Feather Witch and the co-creator of Made of Stars Women's Retreats, and she's got some new stuff that she's going to tell us about today. And we're going to drop in about the path to sovereignty through self-care, which is one of the practices that are near and dear to my heart, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. Welcome, Erika.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks. You are one of my favorite people in the whole world, too. And it's an honor to be involved in anything that you do.
Nice.
And thanks for being such a great leader. Yeah, I am offering a Tools for Empaths and Highly Sensitive People workshop. It is sold out at the moment, but it is probably going to be the first of many. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to get a recording of it on my website.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
I wanted to be in it, and I slacked off.
Yeah, so the long and short of it, and my prayer about it and why I'm having it is I really want to help people who are highly sensitive and empathic and all the other words our culture has to shove you in that box, really honor your superpower and really offer tools that can make it all work for you. I think a lot of times I personally had experienced my sensitivity as being at the effect of, very much like kelp in the ocean, like whatever was going on, it was, and over the arc of about 25 years through a bunch of different modalities, I kind of came up with some tools that were really helpful that put you in the driver's seat, more or less, on what you are willing to be at the effect of, and your choice and practices in that matter, energetically and physically and behaviorally and emotionally, that really help you stay in self-care, right? Which is what this is all about, which is like, how is all of this working for me? Right? And how can I use this sensitivity to receive information for me that is in my highest good? So,
Much. I've been realizing so much lately that there's a direct, if not 100% correlation between being really intuitive, really aware of multiple dimensions, and then being impacted in the other direction. It's, it can be a two-way street. And so it's a superpower, but it's also something that requires a lot of attention. And I was sharing with you, I'm pretty tuned into myself, but I realized that, just living in a big ass house was actually psychically depleting. And took energy from me I wasn't even aware of until I moved into this little space. It's my own, and it's like, wow, I have all this energy. And I'm so curious because I know you're a total rock star. You've been on stages. You've been on a stage pregnant, like full on days from delivering pregnant, and rocking out in all kinds of places, and bringing I know that you're very prayerful and on the medicine path, and you bring that sacredness with you, which is beautiful. And as an empath yourself, I'm just curious what that journey has been like for you.
Yeah, it has had to be very deliberate, because it's like I enjoy doing the, rock and roll ceremony with my band and being on stage. And, most of the time stages are in very energetically dirty and unmindful places like bars, bars and nightclubs. No one's there to, get higher in their evolutionary path. It's kind of like the opposite, which I did that for a long time too. It's not a problem, but it's just like a very different energy, which so you know, instead of having to give something that I loved up because of the environment, I found a lot of different ways to adapt myself to the environment so that I could be there and I could be connected to the spirit of rock and roll, for lack of a better word, and not be in the soup of, you know,
Yeah.
the energetic environment that, getting out of your body and alcohol, it's like what that is. And again, it's
Hmm.
like I don't have a judgment about it. It is simply a preference of placement,
Yeah.
where I like to be. And especially if I have a child in my body, they're at the effect of it also. Um, so both my singing partner, sister wife Natalie, and I, have ways of kind of dropping into that ceremony. And she has like, spirit mist and sacred perfumes. So we do a lot of smudging and a lot of, protection of our energetic field. And then, I just feel like this is the basis of everything, which is like what I am available to. I am not available to, energies, spirit guides, beings, and entities that are not of the highest and brightest. And that's it, and it's like that kind of, sword in the stone. That's the filtration system. It's like I don't really need to maintain it or upkeep it. Is like I know what my business is, and it's like I'm sticking to it, I'm not curious about what that's like. I don't, it's just keeping, your point of focus. It's like, what am I doing here? I am here to receive and extend, the spirit and the feeling of this like
Mm.
sound.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
love that you said, just what you're, staying focused on what
100%.
serves, because when I was
100%.
younger, I was really fascinated with like the Holocaust and
Totally.
serial killers, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sense out of it. And
Yeah.
I made it almost a study, and
Yeah.
I've studied psychology and consciousness my whole life, but I found as I got a little older into my early 20s that fascination was really created a lot of darkness and heaviness in my reality. And I started to realize, like, just because my brain is curious about it does not
That's right.
mean that it serves my best and highest. And I could feel the imprints of that, and then started getting curious about, quite frankly, like my sexual fantasies. Like,
Yeah.
are they serving what I want to call in? And my
That's right.
fantasies around
That's
how I
right.
would spend my money, or whatever it
Yep.
is, like whatever imagery I'm creating, generating, whatever energy imagery I'm feeding myself,
That's right.
is that what I really want to imprint in my consciousness?
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean that is deep. And just having that awareness of, I mean, I think at this stage of our lives, for sure, we know that our thoughts are pretty much garbage. And I don't feel bad about it, but it's like, my God, I hope no one ever knows the weird crap I think about, and I don't fault myself for it. I don't feel bad about
Mhm.
it, but it's just like really being able to, you know, see mind chatter and, whatever you're running as it's its own separate thing, and
Yeah.
what's the vibration of what you're willing to investigate,
Yeah. I
right?
know so many people that don't really know themselves that well, and they get very worried about those thoughts,
Absolutely.
sexual fantasies or violent things. And it's like, my
Yeah.
brain has all kinds of
Oh
crazy
yeah.
shit going through it. And I just
Oh yeah.
watch it. And most of the time I'm like laughing,
Oh yeah.
and grateful that I don't take most of it
Oh
very
my gosh.
seriously.
Yeah. Or embarrassed with my own self. Like, really?
Did
That's what,
I? Hopefully I didn't say that out
look
loud.
at butts all day. This is what you do. Well, I also think, it's like our socioeconomic culture really promotes, your thoughts running the show,
Yeah.
what you think is super important,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of, very intentional deprogramming that you need
I
to
love it.
do about that. right?
Oh,
To
yes.
know that, like, it can be however you want it,
Yeah. And I
how
think
do
there's
how do you want it?
no accident that we have found ourselves in a lot of ceremony
Yeah,
and prayer.
for sure.
Because like it's a conscious stepping out of it
Yeah,
into that unknown with everything that's greater than us that wishes us well, to get an
that's right.
elevation and a break from the
Yeah.
programming that's out there. And I'm curious about your stepping in, because I know that your prayer, I've been really blessed to be with you in many, 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 many ceremonies that are for me based in prayer,
Yeah,
plant medicine as well, but mostly like to me it's about
that's right.
witnessing each other in prayer,
Yeah.
in sacred community, in a safe and sacred space. And I'm curious what your path was like that brought you into that experience. Was
Yeah.
it always like that?
Um, into,
Prayer
prayer
and
and
ceremony?
ceremony?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one form or another, is like I was raised pretty terminally Catholic, which, that in itself was weird, but I always definitely felt and loved everything that was greater than myself. It's like
Mm.
there was a lot about it that wasn't interesting, but what my spirit could feel and the exchange that was taking place didn't really have anything to do with that. So, and then as a younger person, it was like, I did all the phases, right? Like I was Wicca for a while, and then I, went fully Buddhist, and all, it's just like all of it is so something, it's like there's just something in everything. And so yes, I've always kind of been on the
Mm.
trajectory of the healing path, right? So like for myself and being very interested in others, it's like before I kind of was like full ceremony, full-time healer, whatever. I was a bartender, which was as close as I could get. I was a bartender for like 10 years, which was like, oh, does this work in breaking down, barriers and getting into vulnerability and having real exchange? And it's like, well, yeah, in a really sloppy way, but it was something, it was like, um, so yeah, my prayer has always been that. And then, coming into, as you said, like prayer and plant medicines and ceremonies in their different forms. And, I just really want to get behind what you said. It is all about the prayer, because it's like that's the deal, regardless of what position you're in, or if it's a ceremony or plants, no plants, chocolate, whatever. It's like it doesn't matter, but the prayer is the deal. So, I definitely have always been in conversation with my life and my creator,
Beautiful.
for sure.
Beautiful. Well, it certainly, I have to say, it certainly shows. Um,
Oh, that's the thing.
I'm gonna pin you. Uh, it certainly shows, and I feel like, you can tell like when you're like there's a mastery in prayer.
Mm,
There's this relationship that we're building with source,
mhm.
and when we have that deep connection, it really shows through the way that we engage and our words. And well, I was going to say something about the prayer. Well, it left my brain there for a minute. I'm welcoming Dr. Matthew Gamble, who's our new secretary for the Church of Living Wisdom, and he's also, I can't remember what we decided his official title is, but he's like fellowship prayer, a prayer ambassador. Speaking
Great.
of prayerful people, he does pray. He's a masterful prayer,
Awesome.
and he has his priorities in line. Well, Erica, I'm curious about the path of self-care. Oh, that was the question I had was,
Yeah.
so I'm sure that there are people who are, we all have some form of empathic
Yeah. Yes.
connection,
Yes.
and
Yes.
more of us are becoming aware of it
Yeah.
for all different kinds of reasons we could spend a whole
Yeah.
day talking about. But
Yeah.
I also know that there are people who may be just barely starting to become aware that they are sensitive, feeling
Yeah.
overwhelmed. But maybe if you could share some of the signs
Yeah.
that you're being worked on that level,
Yeah.
but maybe not even aware of it yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much for sure, and I would say I really want to back up. I definitely feel I think every human being has the capacity, obviously, for sensory information beyond what the well practiced pathways are, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times what folks like symptomatically will feel is like, you know, energetic expenditure when they're in public, right? Like going to the grocery store, or going to a concert, or going someplace out in public and coming back and just feeling tapped out. I feel like that might be the most common, or like the idea that they're an introvert because they get very overwhelmed
Right.
in social settings, right?
Yes.
Like, I don't like people. I prefer to be by myself, which, like, I'm not saying that's not a preference, but I feel like that is also one of the
Direct
ways,
correlation for sure.
yeah, direct correlations. Definitely um a relationship where they have a hunch about something, or their gut is telling them something and they kind of like aren't ready to fully hear it. It's like a dampening down and a like, um so I feel like those are the most common uh common traits. And also, how I knew, I have never ever in my life been able to watch a scary movie. I can't. I cannot watch it. I cannot. I am the person that, like, there's nothing in my being that's like, this is fake. It's okay. No, it kills, like, it. Even as a little kid, it's like
Mm,
kids love scare. I
mhm.
would be in bits. And I still can't, do, like, oh, just throw in a horror movie and relax. I'm like, what? So just like that depth of being affected too, of just like, you're not like, you can't quite get desensitized to violence in the way that everybody else is.
Goodness.
Yeah, which again, it's like that's a really good thing. And even though our culture is like, what's wrong with you? It's just, a bunch of housewives behaving terribly. Why can't you relax and enjoy? It's one of those things. So I think that that's
I
another.
like that you use that as an example for a horror movie or watching.
Just like, are you guys upset? Is this upsetting anyone? This is so upsetting. When these people are so mean to each other. Yeah. So I,
Yeah.
I feel like those can be pretty clear indications. Or like another really good one and a common one is like, it's really hard for me to let stuff go.
Mm,
And it's like, that may or may not be true, or, it just might be hitting you deeper and in a way that you don't, experience.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
what I would
And
say.
and I was sharing with you, I just moved into this little log
Yeah.
cabin by myself.
Yeah.
It's literally about a tenth of the size. It's about 520 square feet, and I moved in from 5,200 square feet. And I loved the space. It was so
Mhm.
spacious and
Yeah.
it just was. I loved having it. But then, as I started to, first of all, let go of a bunch of stuff, I realized stuff and things takes up a lot of psychic space. And
That's
then
right.
moving into this space, just the smallness, I just feel
Yeah.
cocooned and
Yeah.
held and regenerated in this space. It's so life-giving. Uh, and I like, wow, I had no clue.
Yeah.
I'm so I thought it was going to be, some major struggle of adjustment to be in a small space, and I'm just finding like all the practices that just, oh, I never get around to that thing. It's a good
That's right.
idea, but I'm not
Yeah.
actually doing it now. Like, oh, I'm doing it, and there's
Yeah.
this spaciousness in me
That's right.
now that I've given up the external space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
did, our culture doesn't really, there's a lot our culture doesn't support, but like energy maintenance, management, and like containment is a thing, right? Is like, it's a good way thing, like being mindful of your impact, right? Like, I mean, there's so much, but yeah, just and you're, I feel like also we get so used to the difficulty of things, like we adapt to them, right? And so that when something is like good and easy, it's surprising,
mm,
right? Like what you're saying, like your transition of like, holding an entire massive house, mortgage, vision, prayer, people, management, rooms, clean the kitchen, right? It's like, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, well, this is just what I do, right? And it's like,
Mhm. Mhm.
do you want to?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And there was another question I was going to ask you about your self-care experience. Can you psychically guess what it
I
was?
don't
Because
know. Maybe I
it
always get
seemed really
nervous when it's
juicy to
time for me
me.
to be psychic.
It seemed really juicy to me. I was really relating to what you were saying about the environment for sure. And also, clutter, just the thingage,
Yes.
the
Yes.
thingage.
Yeah,
I have to have like the way I like to live is to have everything immaculate, and then whatever's out of place is what I need to take care of
that's
right
right.
then. And so
That's
like
right.
I leave the thing out, like, oh
Yep.
yeah, you got to take care of that. And if I have too many things out and about, then it
That's right.
just kind of gets lost and overwhelming. And I was thinking how important for me, I want to
Yeah.
work more and more towards only owning what I can be actively engaged with on a regular
Yeah, that's a
basis,
great practice.
and
Yeah.
I do that on a regular basis. I've given away all kinds of prayer items,
Yep.
like sacred
It's
gifts,
so good.
sacred ritual pieces that mean a lot to me, but it's like that was 5 years ago
That's
and
right.
I'm on to a new prayer. And so,
Yep.
that ticket stub from Burning Man, like, I don't need it. I don't need to have it tucked in my mirror. Let it
You
go.
went, you
I
saw it.
went, I did it already. Just move on. I've got a different reality happening. And,
Mhm.
that was one piece that came in, was that so I lived in my dream home, prayer home. I prayed for,
That's
had
right.
amazing ceremonies,
That's right. Yeah.
incredible epic things happened there that were off the hook, phenomenal. And then all of a sudden it was like, you got to get out really
That's
fast
right.
and find a new reality. And I was so excited that my nervous system was like, wow, I cannot wait to find out what the next thing is, and to have full confidence that it's all falling away
That's right.
because of my prayer.
Yep.
I made a big prayer for the bigger, better, and
That's
new
right.
people, new opportunities came in, and everything that was from the old prayer just slipped away.
Mhm. As it
And
did.
yeah,
you know and I like the correlation between, like, it's like it's all moving all the time anyway, and it's our illusion that anything is sitting still. Nothing's sitting still, everything's moving, we're never stuck. Not, it's like time isn't linear. It's all just a big giant moving thing, right? So I really love what you were saying about also keeping the things moving, keeping your items moving, and that just really allows also like an energetic freshness to yourself. And if you're holding on to something, why are you holding on to it?
yeah,
And it could be, some old weird family heirloom that is sitting there, with a cord plugged into you, sucking out,
right.
right? It's like we don't know until we take a minute and
Give it
survey.
away.
That's
I
right.
actually have some incredible pieces that you were done with, and I wear them, and people are like, oh my God, that's
Yes.
amazing. And I'm like,
Yes.
yes, it is. It
Yes.
came from an amazing human,
Yes,
and I
that's right. I
wear it.
remember that.
And I know, like,
Yeah.
maybe someday I'll be like, I'm done with it.
Yeah, no
This is
doubt.
done with me, and it's
That's
time
right.
to pass the magic on to somebody else.
Yeah. That's the good news.
I'm curious if you had the same experience that I did, because growing up Catholic, I know, like, pleasure, especially for women, like,
Yeah.
there's just this sense of like self-flagellation and
Oh my God.
suffering as this way of proving oneself as
Yeah.
worthy and holy. And the self-care is kind of on the opposite spectrum.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
got a lot of messages growing up from my mom that I was selfish anytime I,
Oh yeah.
dropped into self-care. And
That's
now
right.
she's suffering because of not doing it.
Yes.
And so grateful that I am.
Yes.
I'm just curious what your journey was like, because the
Yeah.
Catholic thing must have been at
Yeah.
least as difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of programming, and where I grew up was like predominantly Catholic. It was, it's in Boston. So you're either Irish Catholic or Italian Catholic, and there's like whatever everyone else is doing. It was definitely all of that, a lot of martyrdom programming and a lot of codependence, right? Like it is your job to make sure everyone is feeling great. Like that was the what all the women that I could see were doing, right? So it was a long road of undoing that on purpose and deprogramming that on purpose. And I realized also is like the codependence and the empathic thing are a match made in heaven. Oh my God. It is chocolate and peanut butter. Those two it's like it's
Soulmates.
almost like you can't really have one without the other, of like,
Yeah.
well, I will survey this space because it is my personal, right? To make sure everyone's in check. And even as a reflection of like, am I safe? Well, this is how I figure it out. I get all up in everybody's grill, right?
Yeah. Fix
So it,
everybody so you can feel better
right?
about their psychic energy
That's right.
that's imposing.
That's right. And,
Totally.
reflected to you that when you help people, you are useful. When you help people, you are right, regardless of it, if it's at your own expenditure, right? So I
Yeah.
think a lot of that, you know, white patriarchal Christian programming, it's on purpose, it's like that's not even the point, right? Because it's like, well, you dismantle it by dismantling that, right? Of
Yeah.
like, you are not responsible for anybody. You're right. So, yeah, it took a long time. I mean, it took, you know, decades of yoga, decades of ceremony, decades of
Mhm.
very deliberate, you know, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm right. Like the
Yeah.
renegotiation of ancestral agreements and contracts.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
doing it.
and it's much easier and faster if we dismantle it internally and
Oh,
then
yeah.
see if there's any
That's right.
business we have outside of
That's right.
ourselves.
That's right. That's right.
My first signs as I started to become conscious and looking down at myself
Yeah.
in my programs, I was like, oh, I really only do self-care when I'm sick and my
That's
body
right.
gets sick to force it and to like give me an excuse
That's
that's
right.
valid to other people. Oh, I got injured. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what if I started to live my life in a way that like I did the self-care before I
That's right.
got to an edge that was so intense that I needed to be in bed and then dependent on other people or whatever the thing was. And I started to, it was took a long time to really unravel and pay attention to myself.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm getting to an edge. Oh, okay, I'm getting to a more
Yeah.
finite edge
Yeah.
and to drop in and to give myself permission. And like I said, it wasn't until I got into this space of like, oh, my self-care is just up leveled because there's less taking me
That's
away
right.
from that permission
Yeah.
and ease of dropping into it.
Yeah. I mean, I think really, which is essentially what you're saying, one of the biggest healings of my lifetime that has liberated me beyond all spaces in time is that I don't do anything I don't want to do
Mm,
anymore, period.
beautiful.
And followed up with, I don't explain myself to anybody. So it's like you get a yes, you get a no. If you ask me why with the no, I'm going to tell you because I feel like all of that, right? No, but just this again, it's like, well, I can't and here are all my good reasons. It's just like, can we just say yes and no? That's enough.
Love it.
I don't
I
want
love
to because I don't want to. That's why.
it. I bet your kids are really good examples of that.
Oh my, I am getting it back, girl. I'll tell you. I'm the one that can talk. I'm not doing that. I don't want to. And I'm like, well, bathing is different. Can we just like have little.
Oh, I love that prayer. I really, have been like on I consciously I
Yeah,
believed it for a long time,
that's right.
but my nervous system
Yes.
actually going along with it is another story. And it's even after 48 years of subconscious success repatterning
That's right.
work, it's just been within the last couple years and then even more potently within the last few months that I've witnessed myself go through tragedy and traumatic experience,
Yeah.
potentially traumatizing
Yeah.
experiences, very triggering for sure. and to just be, like, it's all good.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the prayer? And
That's
that's
right.
what I've realized that that's what I want to focus my consciousness on. First of all,
Yes,
a curiosity, because a knowing puts me into old programs that already
that's right.
know what's happening and they're wrong.
Excellent point.
So can I be curious? And then what am I curious about?
Yeah,
What's the single focus, which is what's my prayer? My
that's right.
prayer is to be in line with my noble purpose, to access my inalienable sovereignty, my unimaginable happiness, and to be not guided by money or what other
Right.
people are projecting onto
That's
me,
right.
and really like what's life giving, and to follow that, even though it might be butterflies in the belly, a little scary.
Yeah, even better. That's how you know it's the good stuff, you know?
Mhm.
It's yeah, I just love everything that you just said.
Thank you. Is there anything more that you would like to share? And if not, and or after, I would love to, just to prepare the people who are on here live. If you have any
Yeah,
questions or anything that got sparked, there's space for that. So
yeah.
any final, not necessarily final, but
Yeah, I mean, no, I love everything that we're talking about. I think this is what's interesting to me,
yeah.
obviously. I guess
Awesome.
not Real Housewives. I
Yeah.
made that point clear. Um, yeah, I do, I do a lot of one-on-one work with people about this and the reprogramming and the all of that. And yeah, I have a website, it's erikawright.org. I have workshops. I love doing anything in tandem with you, Amanda. It's so
Yay.
brilliant. I love your prayer. I'm glad I'm in it. You are for sure in mine.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything left to say.
Beautiful. And I'll have you share a little bit more about your workshop, which is unfortunately
Yeah,
sold out, everybody.
it's
Sorry,
sold
even
out,
to
which is
me, because
great.
I slacked off.
I
I
am
took my time.
surprised.
Yeah,
I'm
don't be.
delighted. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
surprised at all.
Yeah.
So Erica
Right.
has a workshop. She's going to share a little bit more about the details of that and how you can get in when she opens up enrollment again.
Yeah.
And for now, I just want to invite, we have Dr. Matthew Gamble and David Fasoli, both people who've been a part of our Living Wisdom community for a little while and beloved members. And if you have any questions or anything that was sparked from our conversation, please unmute yourself and share with us. And our videos are pinned, by the way, so you won't be on camera unless you would like to be, and you can let me know. You're so quiet. These are not quiet men normally, I'm telling you. We've flabbergasted them. Well, that's okay. That's understandable. I totally get it. Well, maybe you can share a little bit about the name of your offering and what you're doing, and
Workshop. Yeah.
all that stuff.
So it is called Tools for Empaths and Highly Sensitive People Workshop. It is online, a Zoom situation. It's an hour and a half. Um, would definitely touch on some of the things that Amanda and that we talked about. And it covers how you can better offer yourself wellness and clarity and happiness energetically, physically, mentally and emotionally, and behaviors that go with it and energetic practices. Yeah, and then at the end we do a Q&A for specific things that come up, and then again it's like I offer a one-on-one situation, intuitive counseling and channeled readings to get just to be able to get people deeper into it. And so that was this Saturday at noon. And now that it's full, I'm going to go ahead and put another one up probably for March. And then I think I'm going to offer the recorded um, workshop
Yes,
on my
please.
website. Yeah. Because
Yes,
that's a
please.
thing people do. I'm kind of learning how to do this as I go.
Because first of all, I'll just say, and I'm gonna say something, and then David has a question, but I have a lot of great self-care tools, and I have learned so much from other incredible
Yeah.
women about their self-care, even if it's the
Yeah.
same thing, like through a different lens, it
Yeah.
becomes deeper and more rich and revitalized. And so it's really important, even if you're awesome at it, you're probably awesome at it because you need a lot of it. And so it's really great to explore and get more inspiration and connect with other people
Yeah.
who can relate to your journey. And so now, yes, David, you have the floor or the screen or the microphone. You have to unmute yourself though.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So did you have any, first of all, I want to say thank you to both of you guys. I missed a lot of it because I was trying to get connected. Do you know if anybody had problem trying to connect today, or did you know of that by any chance? Maybe it was just me. I'm a little technologically challenged. But is there anywhere I can go back and kind of watch what, are you going to post that? Did you record today?
Yeah, this is going to be a part of our Inalienable Sovereignty group. So if you're part of that group on Facebook, you can see it. You could maybe even host a watch party so other people can see it. Again, that would be great. And in general, the recordings are available for a really nominal price. If you want to own it, just contact me, PM me, and I'll let you know how to do that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little bummed. I kind of missed because I was looking forward to it and I was trying to.
Miss nothing. You got it.
Okay. Well, thank you guys very much. And I was just kind of wondering if anybody was having a little trouble tuning in today. Must have been just
we
me.
have a smaller crowd. You never know. I got kicked out of my own Zoom session last week. People were waiting for me in one waiting room and I got somehow in a different one. Zoom's
Oh yeah, that's happened to me a bunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are here live and all the amazing people, perfect people will get the recording.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Oh, well, Erika, I feel like it's been way too long and I could go on and on and on with you forever.
And we will.
Yeah.
You and I will for sure.
Let's do it. I cannot wait to see you again in person and pray with you and see your face. It'd be great to have you back.
Great. Thank you.
Maybe when you're enrolling again to
for sure.
give us a little heads up.
For sure.
On how to get in on your good stuff would be great. And I'm curious, is Feather Witch performing at all?
We are trying to figure out ways to do it without having to do it. Like, like we were trying to figure out maybe to do like an online acoustic. I don't know. We're talking about it. We want to be, believe me. And now that it's getting nice out, there might be some outside venues that we can do. Yeah, I miss it too.
Yeah, Feather Witch is a classic rock cover band.
Hard rock and metal.
Hard rock and metal, so good. So good. You got me embracing my Kiss gratitude and playing, getting back into my rock and roll roots too.
I love that.
So good. Well, I love you so much.
I love you massively. Thank you so much, Amanda, for everything.
Whoever gets to see this, please get on Erika's train of awesomeness. You will not be disappointed, nor will you be bored for 1 second. It's a good ride.
Same you. Love you so.
Yeah.
Sure, everything.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you everybody for joining in. Erika, hopefully I can go in back afterwards and add in erikawright.org, right? And that's how you can get your workshop information.
Yeah, thanks.
If you can get on her mailing list, please make sure to do so. You will be so happy that you did and maybe have a chance of getting in on her next workshop. Tools for empaths and sensitive people.
Highly sensitive people.
Highly sensitive people.
HSPs.
That's right. And I'll see you on the next one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Until next week, Fridays, 1 p.m. Have a good one and may the source be with you.